Hello everybody and welcome to Bathurst, Australia for the Night Racing League Sports Car Championships first challenge weekend of the season. In preparation for the 12 hours at Bathurst next week, we're at the Mount Panorama circuit for 90 minutes in the Night Racing League GT Challenge, race number 1. The cars are just out for their morning warm-up. And we have new rules here this weekend, so let's get to it. There you see the 111. That is Mark Sonnen driving his familiar Porsche 911 GT car. But there is the number 6. That is Keith Rainey. This is a GT3 only event, open to all the league members, and there is one of our prototype drivers in a Night Racing Esports Lamborghini Huracan. And we're going to see a bunch of drivers here today, cars they're not familiar with. It also brings up another interesting twist to it, if you will. There's Steve Groninger in his Ferrari. He's got a new paint job for this weekend. But we have other drivers as we're going to look down the field. Wayne Wortley is here in his BMW. He's been looking very, very strong throughout the weekend. Top of the timesheets for most of the practice sessions. And there's what we were getting at, the 222 of Rowan Kelly. The HRT teams have taken advantage of no car rules. This is not a points race here this week. And so, whenever you're running in the 12 hours next week at Bathurst, you can run here as a warm-up. And so, the Audis are out. And for this week only, they are going to run the Ferraris in the challenge race. Both he and his teammate James Posland running new cars. And speaking of new cars, there is prototype driver Andreas Schwarz looking for a little class diversity and has gone for the Ford GT. Came up in the Discord early in the week and he's been out here trying to get used to that car. Not only is he not a GT driver by nature, he's found this car very difficult, but he's been plugging through, having some interesting practice sessions. The car sounds great, and we'll see how Andreas can get around. He has said quite upfront, his goal is not to race anyone, it is to finish the 90 minutes and see where he can put this car. So we'll be watching Andreas very closely in the 204 Ford GT. It's a very hot day as the drivers circulate around the Mount Panorama circuit. 28-degree temperatures outside, but the important thing, it is a 53-degree track temperature as these cars did qualifying and the race start. So as the warm-up comes to a close, let's check out the qualifying times as everyone starts to get their cars to the grid. And as we have 19 cars lined up behind the Porsche pace car, it is the 24 of Jens Wolters on pole with a 203.670, the only car under 204. He'll line up beside the 48 of Wayne Wortley, a 204.176. Row number 2 sees the Schaller Racing teammate Toby Seninger, a 204.182. Lined up beside the 91, the Ferrari this week of James Posland at 204.564. Our first prototype driver inside of row number 3, Dennis Rotter at 205.170. He'll line up beside the 777 of Jaden Manathan-Guerin, 205.223. Row number 4 sees the Switch It BMW of Marcel Struve at 205.408. Lined up beside Night Racing Esports Hayden Fowler, the second of our prototype drivers, a 205.476. Kevin Hensel's in the 94 Lamborghini, 205.523, lining up beside the 29 of Lincoln Russell, who has switched to a BMW for this race, 205.603. The 222 of Rowan Kelly is inside row number 6, a 205.928. He lines up beside the 199 of Leighton Cater, who will start this race from the pit road. The 41 of Piers Berry inside row 7, 206.235, alongside the 395 of Enos Bothma, 206.751. Only a tenth of a second separates row number 8, Mark Sonnen, a 207.270, as opposed to a 207.370 for the prototype driver Paul Seeley in the 72. Row number 9 sees Steve Groninga inside with a new paint scheme this weekend, a 207.670, and the Ford GT of Andreas Schwarz, a 208.522. Our final starter is in 19th is Keith Rainey. He'll line up in row number 10, and that's your starting grid for 90 minutes here at Bathurst. As the cars get rolling, Jens Wolters. What a qualifying time he's put in. The track temperature's extremely hot. It is 53.2 degrees. It's going to be very, very slippery on the first lap. Everybody try to get through this difficult circuit clean until they get their tires warmed up. And we are away out of Murray's Corner. 90 minutes at Bathurst is underway. And through the first turn, it is Jens Wolters leading Wayne Wortley. They're away in grid position. Everybody clean down through the first corner. Having a little look is Toby Seninger. As we head up onto the mountain for the first time. Marcel Stroop's leading what is a little bit of a second group now. And a whole gaggle of night racing esports Lamborghinis coming up the hill. And down toward the dipper for the first time, Jens Wolters leads them down, everybody clean. And the tire temperature's not so bad as you get the second lap, but it's really lap 3 when you start to have your full amount of grip, which in these temperatures is not a lot. Down the hill they come. Everybody doing a spectacular job through the first lap. Down through the chase, and it's side by side. Toby Seninger having a look again. He's on the inside, and Schaller Racing moves to a 1-2. The BMWs have looked strong. This race is not being run with the BOP for next week. That was not released until after all the practice sessions. The organizers feeling it was not fair to change the BOP after practice was complete. A little look there, but tucking back in. Oh, Wortley! Wortley's hit! He's gone around, and it's going to be into the tire barrier. That was the 91 of James Posland. Just the tiniest of touches there. Everybody's through clean. The 48 still sitting down in hell corner. He waits for the pack to go through. There's a little wrinkle on the back of that car. See what happened. And our first incident of the day, it's Posland. It doesn't even really look like a pass attempt. He sneaks his nose out, goes to tuck back in. You saw the brake lights on the BMW at the same time. I think they were both trying to let each other go. Maybe Wayne was pulling back to sort of have a good exit on the corner and repass him up the hill. It looks like both cars decelerated into the same piece of circuit, and that's a very unfortunate. We've lost one of the top running cars here. Not lost him, he's down in 19th, still running. He's actually right on the back of the field. So we'll watch the lap times of the 48 car and see what happens there. As they come down to the chase for the second time, we'll get representative lap times as they come around to complete this one. And a nice little lead for Jens Volter. Now he's got his teammate running shotgun in behind. Toby Seninger in the 55 car. Posland doesn't look any worse for wear from that. It was such a light touch between the two cars. I don't think there's any damage. And Dennis Rotter right there in the Ferrari. A little bit of a gap. He's about 2 seconds behind Posland. Prototype drivers were very clear coming into this. We only have the one real front-running prototype car here today. That is Rotter. We saw his teammate practice in one of the sessions on Tuesday, but is not racing today. But nobody's under any illusion that they're going to be challenging for the win against these GT specialists. This is truly, to the literal meaning of the name of this race, it's a challenge race for the prototype drivers, and it is about finishing. And none can be more true than the 204 of, there he is, as we get a nice shot of the blimp of Andreas Schwarz. He's made no bones about this. He is not racing for positions. He is going to get this car to the finish. It's been a challenge all week in practices. But he's looking good here. Running in 17th, he's got Morton behind him, who's now dispatched of Keith Rainey. Keith having no practice. Got back from Daytona just late in the week. Got a setup from his teammates, and basically spent all morning doing private testing and then the 1 hour warm-up trying to get himself ready. But it is all about finishing the 90 minutes for these prototype drivers and capitalizing on some other people's mistakes and seeing where you can get it. As we watch the middle of the field coming down that night racing threesome down the hill, Fowler, or Manathan Guerin, Fowler, and Hensel running 6th, 7th, and 8th. Just in behind Groninga, that would be Leighton Cater from Pit Road. So he's got himself up to 16th place. As we have 5 night racing Lamborghinis on the circuit here today. And we see a shot there as Wardley has got by the 204 of Andre Schwarz. Paul Seeley there in the 72 ahead of Mark Sonnen. As Hayden Fowler drops down the sheet. Fowler's in pits. And what is going on? I did not see any contact there. But the 28 car on pit road early at the end of lap number 3. And we're hearing from pit road, they didn't put race fuel in that car after qualifying. It happens. The 199 coming through there. Looked like making a move on Steve Groninga. And that is successful. Cater got the 13th place in the 199. So Fowler still in the pits. No, he's just out now. Why didn't we get a shot of him there? There he is. There's the 28 car coming out. And you can rejoin the circuit, but you can see 40 seconds behind the tail of the crocodile. As Leighton Cater has towed to the pits, so an issue for the 199. I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe he's had an issue at the top of the hill while we were watching the 28 car rejoin. We're back up front here, completing lap number 4. And it is definitely a 3-car breakaway from with our GT Pro drivers. Schaller Racing of Jens Wolters, Toby Seninger, and James Posland. 1, 2, 3, just a second covering the top 3. And you can see they've now opened up a 4-second gap to Rotter. Marcel Struff leading that group in the top 5, having a great start here. And be interesting to see what happens. Jens has done this before in Season 4. He's actually led the first 2 endurance races of the season. Has not got that car to the finish, so let's see if he can convert one here. He's got his teammate running shotgun, but a very quick Ferrari running in 3rd place. This is a circuit where you're not really racing your opponents as much as you're racing yourself. Incident limits are 10x, 6x, like they are in the Endurance Series here today. No change. It is actually a little bit of a present for the drivers because if you do the math, that's very, very wide there. The 91 collects that in. If you do the math, that's 6.67 incidents per hour. Which is more than they'll be allowed next week in the 12 hours. 1.1 incidents per hour as the Bathurst 12 is 50x then every 20, so we applaud that. Incident limits should be tight, drivers should be on track and not banging into things. And so we'll see how many people get through this without drive-thrus. Like we say, it's actually a little easier with the 10x, 6x here today for these guys. Our first 90-minute race of Season 4 as well. Both endurance races to this point have been 2-hour races, as will our next one in 3 weeks' time when we head to Silverstone, back to the Northern Hemisphere, to Northamptonshire. Through to complete lap number 5, Jens Wolters over the line. It's still 1 second separating the top 3. Oh, we've got enough. That's Wortley again. And it's the 59 of Steve Groninga. Coming through is Andreas Schwartz. It's going to drop Wortley back to 16th. Groninga back on circuit. And Wortley to the pits. He's got damage from the first one on the rear wing. We could see that. And a little bit of damage this time as well. We'll see what happened here. He's on the inside. Groninga comes back across the circuit and they collect each other. I'm not sure Steve thought he was where he was, or he thought he might have had a little more circuit. But a little bit of bad to worse for our front row qualifier. And Wortley now out of the pits. I wonder if that was a drive-through. It was a drive-through. So obviously got a 4x for his lap 2 and a 4x for that, and I guess he's had a couple of off tracks, a 2x somewhere. So Wortley through for our first drive-through. Still has not moved out of pit road. I'm not sure if we've lost that car. But a clear 3-car breakaway now, 6-second gap, and the lap times 206, very low 206s for our top 3 runners. Rotter is in the low 207s, 207, 282, and that's where most of the cars in behind are. We slipped into the 208s at Rowan Kelly in 8th place. So the group's starting to define themselves here as we are 1 hour, 17 minutes left, approaching the first 15 minutes complete. And the first challenge race of the season. It's going to be very cool to see, and the challenge races are just that. They are challenges. Our next one, we will have both classes. There'll be a GT challenge race at noon Eastern. And then the prototype challenge will be at Circuit of the Americas for the next challenge series race. Can't wait for that. We'll have, again, prototype drivers in GT3 cars and GT drivers in the prototypes. So we're going to have a good turnout for that one. Then a GT only race, although there'll be other cars available as we get ready for the 24 hours on the Nordschleife, the Nürburgring 24. And that, again, will be a 90-minute race just like this one, as it's a special event tune-up. And we expect to have a large crowd for that one. Everybody loves the 24 hours at the Nürburgring. And we'll see who runs the GT4 cars and the other classes that are available, or if the drivers stick to their GT3s. In sixth place, just behind Marcel Struth. This is that very tight pack. Running here behind Rotter. He's pulled out about a 2-second gap on the 78 car, but then it's a nice little group here of these 3 cars. There you see all 4 of them in the same shot. The night racing Gold drivers running very competitively here. I think everybody will not be surprised that they have probably punched their ticket into the pro class for season 5, even when that is announced. They were one of those teams that were right on the line, and they've really stepped their game up, it has to be said. I think they were on the line between Pro and Am when the season started, but they've been doing a lot of great work together, sharing setups and working closely together, as are these 2 drivers, and it's really paying off. And they are running every bit as well as some of the pro teams up in front. First 15 minutes down, we've lost 1 car. We've had another with issues, and one that forgot to fuel for the race. So other than that, 16 cars running unimpeded so far. Doing a great job, very close to the walls, and that's the one thing you really notice between the GT drivers and the prototype drivers in this race in the test sessions. How close these GT drivers, how comfortable they are getting out close to the walls. The prototype drivers giving them a lot more respect, and that translates directly into lap time. Easily a second a lap, probably closer to 2 seconds. In some cases, that's the 78 car we just saw in the wall. Trying to get a camera on that. He's already towed back to the pits. What happened to Marcel Struth? Having a great run here. Some through Skyline and just in the deceleration zone, and he's missed. Yes, you see the back end coming out, and he's center punched that concrete wall. A huge impact, and straight back to the pits. Just as we were saying, everybody getting by. Tires now clearly in their temperature window, starting to wear, and the grip will have stabilized. Just a little hot as they started to come down the hill, and you saw that back end pull around us. Jaden Manathan Guerin, a beautiful slide off the grass. I think he got his right tire. He taps the brakes and says, you know what, Kevin, you go. Pencil up to 5th. I can't believe he saved that car. They come out of chase. This is down into Murray's Bend, and you can see the right sides on the grass. What a job. He actually keeps it right on the racing line, lets his teammate go, but there is the save of the day right there. 10th place, Paul Seeley in the top 10, qualified in 16th. He and Mark Sonnen have been together right from the get-go. They, as I said, taking advantage of other people's mistakes. And they're one of the closest battles on circuit now as a 7-2 leads the 111. Into the top 10 for the Canadian. Lincoln Russell on pit road. So we're not sure what happened there. And a nice gap. It really looks like the Lamborghini pulling away in the upper section. Down at the bottom, really reels that Lamborghini back in. This is a good battle forming here for 10th place. Once again, we say hello to everybody watching us on YouTube. We've got our pit reporters active. Would love to hear from the 29 pit. If anybody knows what happened to Lincoln Russell, we do not have that on our replay. And that car in the pits. Looks like there could be a little damage on the right side. Maybe he's clipped a barrier up at the top of the hill. Not sure what's happened to that car, but it's in the pits and it's been there for a little while now. Stopped for almost 2 minutes. As we continue to watch this battle for 10th place. The leaders running 1, 2, 3. It's now 2.7 seconds between them. This is one of the closest battles on the circuit. And a prototype driver against a GT Am driver. So it's very interesting. You see how the Porsche is definitely quicker on that lower section. He's got the toe now. We'll see if he can get himself alongside as they head up to Corey and the right-hander onto the mountain. Seeley lazily drifting it across the circuit. If Mark's going to go by, he's going to force him to pick a side that's not as comfortable as he'd like. Let's see if we see the same thing up here again, if that Lamborghini pulls away as we run through the top section of the circuit. 10 and 11. You definitely see that gap open up as they come through this section here. Through the S's and down to the Dipper. Our leaders, Jens Wolters, 20 minutes in, continues to lead up front. A Schaller Racing 1-2. And that's the 111 of Mark Sonnen. He's around at the final corner. Forrest's elbow, and that's Lincoln Russell out of the pits. Oh, and the 204 coming through as well. You get a replay of what happened. We were just watching these guys. No problem. And it's right down at Forrest's elbow. And the back end goes around. And this is one of the problems here. When you see a yellow flag at this circuit, there could be a stopped car on the other side of it. And that's what's caught Lincoln Russell. Unfortunately, Mark was going backwards. I think there was a little contact, maybe a net code contact there. Steve Groninga as well, as Mark desperately trying to get that car out of the way. Finally back to the inside, his eyes glued to the F3 screen. And so a very promising battle for 10th place is now been ended, and Lincoln Russell has made his way back to pit road with more contact on that left front corner. Wayne Wortley sticking it out. He's up to 13th. Finishing this race is what it's all about, and he's going to maximize that position. He's got a fast car, Doesn't look like he's taken all of the optional damage on that 48 car. But we'll watch the lap times. He just passed Keith Rainey, and last time around a 209.8, so it's a little on the high side. But we'll see what happens with the 48 car as he tries to make his way back through the field. Check in with our leaders as they complete the 11th lap. We talked about the different rules in this race. It's a GT3 only. These cars generally run with 75% limited fuel cells in the Endurance Series. That's for strategy and to try and get some extra pit stops in. Not so here today. We are running Bathurst rules, if not the BOP, which came in too late for this race, but 100% fuel cells. Everybody is running basically the strategy or the number of laps that we'll be doing next week. And that means we'll be seeing a one-stop race. If people are doing more than one stop, they're going to be at a huge disadvantage here. And that should be just after the 1 hour mark, if I remember correctly, from the full stint runs we saw during the Tuesday and Thursday practice sessions. We did have quite a few drivers doing the full stint runs. And you can just see these are three of the best up front here. And you can see how close they are to all of these walls compared to the drivers type like Seeley, who we were just watching back there. How much space he's leaving to the concrete barriers. These guys absolutely on the limit right through the exit there. You think he's going to take that Falcon paint off that wall. And that translates in a 206.1 last time around, 206 dead for Seninger. And then you get back down to drivers like Seeley, the prototype drivers, Sonnen back on circuit, so that's good. Seeley just into the 208s, so more than 2 seconds the gap between these pro GT drivers and some of our prototype drivers coming out here. That Ferrari just looks great on this circuit. Front end looking like it's a pair of claws digging into the circuit. And holding on, it's just a 3-second gap. And on this circuit, it is stay within one mistake. We're going to see our first lapped cars soon-ish. Mark Sonnen would be the first car. He just came out of the pits, and as I look up on the map, he's going through turn 10 as these guys go through Quarry. So maybe in about 15 minutes' time, we'll start to see them catch the back of the field. There's Dennis Rotter in the 011. A beautiful paint job as they brought that new Unleashed livery onto the 488 Evo. Really a shame that Thomas Brommel is not here. Not sure why, but he did practice one session. Dennis having a great run, of course, one of the championship contenders in the prototype class. And this is a solid fourth. He's got 3 seconds on the next runner, the 94 of Kevin Henson. Again, within one mistake of getting a position there. You see Jaden Manikin-Guerin. No harm, no foul. He did lose a position to his teammate. We saw him pump the brakes there, I think, as he was trying to get his heart rate back down. But he's certainly not lost any lap time. He didn't hit anything. And still running a solid 6th place. And they've got a nice gap back to Rowan Kelly. Running a Ferrari. Not sure how much testing these guys have done. The HRT team seems to be running the Ferraris next week. They're all in them. So collecting a lot of data. There's Piers Barry just in behind. Putting in a great showing. They're in 7th and 8th place as Jaden Manathan-Guerin has hit pit road. A bit early. We see Mark Sonnen back on pit road as well. I'm not sure what's happened to the 111. And Manathan-Guerin towed from just outside his pit box. That's very odd. I'm not sure what's going on there. We'll send a pit reporter down to KRE and find out what's going on with the 777 car, why he just pulled into the pits and towed from 4 boxes away to his pit box. Steve Groninga recovered back to 13th place, and that is Wortley in front of him. They came together early on lap number 5. They head up the hill. The lap times on that 48 car still in the 208, so I think definitely some issues after the double contacts we saw. Wayne has had a drive-through for 10X, but I think there's also some damage that's hindering that car on the straightaway. It's actually one of the closer battles for position on the circuit. These guys up. Just a bit of air on the front end of that car. Manathan-Guerin is still stopped in pit road, so I'm not sure what's going on with that 777 car, as he was running very, very competitively. Haven't heard back from the KRE pit box yet. As 30 minutes are in the books here on the Mount Panorama circuit in Bathurst, Australia, the first challenge race of Season 4 in the Night Racing League. Jens Wolters leads from Toby Settinger, from James Posland, your top 3. As they head through the top of the mountain, through Solman Park, turns 9, 10, and 11, very close to that wall. And that's where the lap times are. 2:05.170, the fast lap of the race, set by the 24 of Jens Wolters. Fuel cells, oh! That looked like a little bit of a slide in the back end. It's caught, and down the hill he comes. Meanwhile, back in the pack, Wayne Wortley has caught the back of Andreas Schwarz in the 204. Schwarz very low on the inside. Actually put the brakes on. Wayne, one of the top GT drivers, and Andreas just trying to get this thing to the finish. He wants to do 90 minutes in this car. He's done well. He's a third of the way there. But no defending whatsoever from the prototype driver. Taps the brakes and says, "You go, boy. I'll see if I can hold on to the back end of that BMW." Look how much the gap is already. As there's your difference from a guy who's never driven this car before to a pro GT driver. Very interesting up front. I'm curious to see what's going to happen in this second, or in the final hour here. James Posland, very known for his strategy for taking care of his car, as are the two in front of him. This is turning into a bit of a fascinating thing. Get through the first stint and then have a 30-minute race. I don't expect anybody's going to be taking tires here. Certainly nobody who's challenging for a victory will be able to afford that. Manathan-Guerin is back on circuit. So until I can get any kind of confirmation from Discord, I'm going to say he must have had some kind of an equipment problem. because that was very strange. We're nowhere near the pit window. I mean, I assume you could fill your car up and make it to the end from here, but everybody's trying to run light as they can with these track temperatures. But he's come in way too early and actually didn't even drive into his pit box. We saw it live. He was on pit road. He was about 5-6 pit boxes away, and then he towed to his pit box. So, not sure what was going on there, but he is back on track and running in 15th position. The last car, that would not be on the lead lap. That's going to be probably 2 laps down, yes. Oh, and another hit! That's Enes Bothma, the other of the South African contingent, and a second BMW. We saw the 78 of Marcel Stroef in a very similarly painted BMW take the front end off his car. Enes Bothma has now done the same thing, and that was that at Gipper as well? Got a look at it. It is, as he's coming down the hill. We saw the back end on the other BMW slide away, and it's the same thing. Exactly the same piece of wall that caught out Marcel Stroef, and Enes Bothma is headed to pit road as well. Seeley passes him. You see on the timing screen as he's limping that car back down. He's now towed it. He's pulled it over and towed, and Manathan Guerin back into the pits. So that's going to promote some drivers. He was running in 8th place, so that has put Paul Seeley now up to 8th place on the timing screen. The Canadian continues to climb up. We did look at pit road, and there I was confused again. As we saw the BMW with the front end off, that was actually Stroef's car still being fixed. Bothma has now just made it, and some engine damage perhaps as well on that car, as there was quite a lot of smoke as he came down through Chase. Steve Groninga has now caught the back end of Andreas Schwarz. I'll get out, and he's done it again. He's pulled it over, and he's letting the GT drivers by. Andreas is doing a 90-minute test session here, and good on him. Kept it shiny side up. He's kept the car clean. And 35 minutes into the race, he's running 11th in a car that qualified 18th. So you can't argue with the results. He's got 54 minutes to go. We check back in with a couple of the blue Lamborghinis. There's Keith Rainey. He's also done the same thing with no practice time. Keith on circuit, running in 12th place. That car qualified in 19th. And that is Hayden Fowler, who's recovering from a very uncharacteristic mistake at the beginning of this race. He's in 13th place. He probably let his teammate go. Hayden, although a prototype driver this year, of course, in the Endurance Series, is very familiar. He was a GTE Pro driver for the first 3 seasons of this championship. Having to make a little bit of an adjustment to the anti-lock brakes and the things that this car has. But he's used to throwing a GT car around. He qualified quite well, actually. He was the second highest prototype driver to qualify. As we check back in with our leaders, Wolters now has got himself a nice little gap up front. 3.5 seconds back to Toby Seninger. Seninger still well within the clutches of James Posland in the 91 car. but you're not going to get a camera shot of them not in the same shot together. I'm very, very interested. It's almost like just getting through this next 20 minutes. Get to the pit stop, see what these guys do. As the 72 car is around, that's at Forest's elbow. Hasn't hit anything, we're told, but definitely lost some time. Running in 8th, but that is Wayne Wortley right behind him now. 3 seconds the gap between those two. As we go on board with the 24 of our race leader, Jens Wolters. And here is Forest elbow where the 72 went around. You see the skid marks right there. Didn't come close to a wall, so no damage on the 72. We lost a nice little gap he had there. Wortley is going to be closing him in. Wayne into the 207, so he's getting familiar with that car, how it's handling with the little bit of damage that's on it. Fuel load is coming down as well, and he's starting to reel in the cars in front of him. Boy, that is a lot of slide through that corner. On board now with Toby Seninger in the 55 car. That is a pointy front end you saw there. With all that tire slide, how much tire wear? It's very, very hot here. The track temp is coming down. Sim time for the start of the race was about 2:05 p.m. So 53 at qualifying. The temperature has actually come down. It's 51-degree track temperature now. Enos Bothma in the pits, we see. Oh, so very fixed, yes. That car has now been stopped for almost 6 minutes. As Wayne Wortley is now on the back of the Canadian's Lamborghini. And we could see a pass for position here as the GT driver comes up behind the prototype driver. As a little look, this is for position. And whereas Seeley racing a car very close to his speed out there, remember how slowly he came across? He came straight across that time, giving Wortley the inside. But the BMW not able to get up. They'll hit the quarry and up the hill, and the Lamborghini stays in 8th place. You can see not even challenging the white lines in that Lamborghini. How different is that from when we see the leaders going around here? Nowhere near that curbing, everything tidy between the lines, trying to get this to the finish. Solidly in the 208s. That's pretty much where that car was all week in practice. As up front, track. The mystery continues. As Wortley now alongside as we're coming down the hill. We'll have the little kink down to Chase. Oh, he backs off on the inside. Seeley left lots of room, but the BMW backs off, and the Canadian will stay in 8th position. Another great exit out of Murray's Corner. See what happens up the hill. Seeley again. Maybe a little slower this time getting over to the left side, but there's a lot of space. The BMW doesn't seem to have the pull up this hill. He gets a great exit out of Murray's Corner, but not out of the one that matters. And once again, the 72 will stay in front. On board with Wortley as we come down through the twisty bits. Oh, very, very good exit through there. You see how much better on the brakes he is. And down the hill, he's certainly going to get it done this time. I don't see Seeley really... Seeley's got the straight line speed. There's definitely aero damage on that BMW. He's all over him in the toe. He just doesn't seem to be able to get it alongside. Seeley very deep into that corner. Wortley's got the inside now for Murray's Corner, and this should be a done deal. He's got it ahead. Seeley's dropped in behind. And after all that, the 48 dives to pit road. As we are halfway here at the 90 minutes at Bathurst. And maybe enough was enough there for the 48. He's got to make a pit stop anyway. He's just going to do an undercut. That car is so much quicker. And he hits pit road to fill up. We check in with the battle that's now developing here for 4th place. Kevin Hensel has caught the back of Dennis Rotter in the 0-1-1. They head down the hill, and we could have a nice little dust up here between the prototype and the GT Am driver. Stop. We're going to watch the length of this pit stop. Does he try to get any of that damage fixed? Groningen has also made it into pit road. 38.4 seconds, so I think maybe fuel and a little bit of optional damage. See if he can get some straight line speed in that BMW. Steve Groningen looks in his mirror and sees the battle for 4th place getting larger and larger. He's going to pull it over. But Hensel has dropped back a little bit. Is he going to get past that Ferrari? Groningen does actually back it off and allows the Lamborghini through before turn 2. And good job by the these two will continue. That was a couple of very, very good corners by Rotter at the bottom of the hill. He really opened that gap up. On board with the German now in the Lamborghini. off the mountain, through Forest's Elbow, down the hill. The Lamborghini closer than it was coming up the hill, but a nice exit by Rotter, who's going to pull it away. Much better exit. You can see how visibly closer he is this time as they head up the hill. Meanwhile, Hayden Fowler has caught the back of Andre Schwarz. Schwarz in the top 10 with this Ford GT. 9th place. Fowler in 10th as well. And he'll put the Lamborghini pass down the straightaway. Hayden Fowler, recovering from an early mistake, has got himself in the top 10, up to 9th place. He'll set his sights on Piers Berry. 29 seconds up the road. That's a tall order with 40 minutes left. But anything can happen here. Check back in with Rotter and Hensel. In the pits, and once again his name is in red, which tells us that he towed the car to the pits. So this is either an equipment problem he can't get fixed, or he's doing a test session, although there's really not much you can change on the car during a race. No word from the KRL pit box as to why the 777 has been in and out of the pits so often. Rotter up the hill. This is a close battle. Jens Wolters leads by 4.7 seconds over his Schaller Racing teammate, Toby Seninger. James Posland has now dropped 3.5 seconds back. There is our leader right there. That is Marcel Struth back on circuit. He didn't get the front clip put back on that car, but the wheels are pointed straight. And he's out trying to get himself some positions. 78 car listed in 18th place. The final car circulating. He has 9 laps to complete before he can catch Enos Bothma, who is in the pits in a very similar looking BMW with very similar damage. Mark Sonnen has had his issues since we saw him spin up at Forest Elbow. He's now 7 laps down. There was another trip to the pits for some damage. Sonnen was stopped for 11.5 minutes on pit road, so an issue that we did not see. Into the pits, that looks like Wayne Wortley coming back in. is having a day. That's his third time on pit road. Not of his own doing again, unfortunately, but I mean, that happens in racing sometimes. A bit of a misunderstanding got him caught out in lap 2. Then he was making a pass on Groningen as they headed down to chase, and I think Steve just kind of lost where he might be on the circuit that came across and touched side to side. A drive-through penalty for incident limits, and now he's on pit road. Time. Remember, he pitted right at the halfway mark of this race, so that was only 9 minutes ago. And that car has stopped again. Maybe he's just decided, you know what, I'm going to get all the damage fixed. And then we'll see what I can wrap, because we know that car, when it's in perfect running order, is going to be about 2-3 seconds a lap quicker than the ones he's running with down there, just out of the top 10. This battle hotting up as Rotter and Hensel now together, as close as they've been for a while. The race leader makes a pass. No, sorry, that's Seninger in second place. The leader's already through as they're putting Lincoln Russell down. Lincoln also recovering from a little bit of damage. He's running in 13th place on circuit. This is the battle right now. Kevin Hensel chasing down his countryman in the Ferrari. The battle for 4th place. Pit stops are going to be coming soon. We think it's just over an hour. It'll be interesting to see who takes tires. I don't expect anyone will, but we'll see what happens. We'll see who's been saving fuel. Has Posland been saving fuel, running in behind these two leaders? We know Rotter gets exceptional fuel mileage in the prototype class. I don't expect any different here. Although this battle may be forcing him to use a little more than he would like, if that was the case. What are the times on pit road? And where do they come out? The car's spreading out just a little bit. It's now almost a 6-second gap between our top two. 4 seconds down the road to Posland. This battle, the closest on the circuit, is... I can't believe that wasn't a contact with the wall. 20 seconds behind the top three. The closest battle on track for 4th place. Rotter and Hensel. And they are going flat chat. If you look at the body language of both of these cars. The mountain section. All the curb down through the S's. Hard on the braking zone. Through Dipper. Russell allows the 3rd place car by as they are all back together again. Everybody will be enjoying the Bathurst 12 next week. For those who are participating, we wish you the best of luck. We hope you've learned some things that are going to make you successful next week with your running here. Then it's a week off before we head back up for race number 3 of the Endurance Championship. We'll be at Silverstone for another 2-hour race. And if I can just get the schedule here. 26th of February at Silverstone before everybody gets ready for the 12 hours at Sebring. Ahead, we'll have a 2-hour endurance race here in the KRL a week before the special event. For this pair. And that translates our leader last time around at 2:05.4. So everybody running pretty close to their best. Just a little off. These two actually right on their best. 2:06.2 and 2:06.1 respectively. Rodder and Hensel running right there. Piers Barry is on pit road in the 41 car. Is this our first? I would say the top 8 are the ones who get the prize here. Oh, there's damage on that car. That looks like big damage on the 41, so this is not going to be a scheduled pit stop for the Ferrari as I had thought. Looks like he's hit a wall on both sides. That's got to be coming down the hill. He's clipped the wall on one side and then bounced over to the other. So we are not seeing the first of our scheduled stops. We're very, very close. I would imagine in the next 2 to 3 laps, we're going to start seeing the leaders come down pit road. "28 laps complete here at Bathurst." And as Barry gets his car attended to, Andreas Schwarz in the 204 Ford GT moves up to 9th place. Steve Groninga also into the top 10. We said at the beginning of the race, qualifying's good, but it's not where you start. In a circuit like this especially, it's all about where you finish. 7, 10, we can't say 10, we'll say 9 cars have kept this clean so far. As they head down the hill, who's coming into the pits? Where is Walters right now? He's checking the map. He's just at Chase. We'll watch the leaders and cut to them if we need to. Meanwhile, this battle for 4th continues on. Last time around, 206.4s for both of them. Paul Seeley in the pits from the 72 car. This will be our first scheduled stop just after the 1 hour mark. Hayden Fowler is in behind him in the 28. I'm surprised Hayden didn't go a little further. Jens Wolters also in the pits. They were just coming back around to lap the tail end of the lead lap cars. So Wolters a lap ahead. He's done 29 laps to the 28 of Seeley, and maybe a little bit of damage on that car as well. That's one of the KRE cars coming into the pits. We just saw Seeley is out. Rodder will go around. That was Kevin Hensel, so he's dropped off the back of Dennis Rodder. All the KRE, oh no, he's a lap ahead too, 29 laps. Never mind that. And we'll look at some of the times as Hensel stops in his pit box. Jens Wolters, 20.4 seconds, fuel only in the 24 car. Paul Seeley, 21 seconds exactly stopped. Hayden Fowler, 20.6. So it is fuel only as we expected for all these cars. They are all back on the circuit. Kevin Hensel, 23.4. That's interesting. He stopped a few seconds longer than all the other cars around him. And how is that going to affect that battle with the 0-1-1? Dennis Rodder yet to come down pit road. Hensel has rejoined the circuit behind the Ferrari of Rowan Kelly. Rowan going around again for a 30th lap. We expect he'll be on pit road this time by. Up front, it's Toby Seninger and James Posland. There they are, 1-2. They will be completing their 30th lap, and I expect coming down pit road, Seninger makes the left-hand turn, and in behind, the Ferrari follows suit. Dennis Rotter will be the next one, is now Hensel caught up behind the 222 car. 2 seconds extra fuel time for that car on pit road. It is put it behind a car that is slower on circuit. This is really going to affect. Rotter is going to be the next one on pit road. Here he comes in the Ferrari, and he's pushing the curbing. Coming down the hill now. This is a battle for position. This Ferrari is going to be coming into the pits, but there's no reason for Kelly to move aside. Remember, he is an HRT teammate of the 91 car, so Kevin having a look. He's got the nose in there. Aggressive pass. Well done. Rowan Kelly says, you want it that bad, you can have it. He's going to the pits anyway. Through he goes. Kevin Hensel, I'm not sure if he made or lost time there. The 011 is on the move, and we'll see where they sort out. It's a very short exit, and Dennis Rotter has got a massive lead now in this battle for 4th place. We'll let the clock sort out, but it's right now in the neighborhood of 8 seconds, 7.5 seconds. Hensel has lost in the pit exchange. Total time on pit road, we said it was 2 seconds. Well, 2 seconds the other car. Dennis Rotter, by going that extra lap, 18.3 seconds stopped. Kevin Hensel, 23.4, so 5 seconds lost in pit road. Not to mention what time he would have lost behind the 222 on his outlap. And that translates now to a 7.5 second gap between 4th and 5th. As 94 will try to pull that in. He looked quicker on circuit. He's going to have to do it now for real. As we watch Paul Seeley and Hayden Fowler, the two night racing teammates, coming down. This, again, a battle for position. And and Fowler having a look down the inside. Seeley's not going to push the issue there too much. That's the leader of the race coming up behind him. He's got a nice little run, though, coming off the hill corner. I think he knows what the score is here. What's going on? Fowler actually backs off coming up the hill. Seeley will retake 7th place as they go through Quarry. Did not expect that. Car on the inside backing off. The top of the hill. I didn't see a whole lot of resistance being put up by the 72 there, but that's very interesting that he got the position back coming up that hill. We've got the race leader right in behind them. Everybody now has done their service. We're good to go to the end of the race. 23 minutes remain. Get out of the way of Volters here. He's got a 7-second gap on his teammate after the pit exchange. No real gain. In fact, it looks like Posland may have lost a little bit of time. Maybe a half a second, but it's certainly not in the right direction. He didn't gain time in the pits. Fowler lets the race leader go. Seeley will as well. A nice little flash. Seeley gives that inside lane. Blue flag's cleared. Volters is through, and we can go back to our battle for 7th place, which is going on a lap extra than I thought it was going to. Fowler clearly the faster car. GTs qualified in 8th place. I'm just checking the times. 2:05.4 as opposed to 2:06. Yeah, so it's 1.9 seconds is the difference in qualifying pace between these two cars. That's a BMW coming back to life and heading back out. And Just looking up, is that Wortley? It is, Wayne Wortley. He's got that car fixed now. Unfortunately running 7 laps off the lead, but at least he's going to enjoy that last 21. He's got cars he can catch. Pierce Barry is still getting that Ferrari fixed. So 2 laps of running will gain Wortley 12th position. And we've got Rowan Kelly. He's had an off as well. That car damaged on the right side, so there is definitely some crumbs to pick up here for the 48 car. Rowan Kelly had just come out of the pits, so maybe he's looped it on full fuel. Again, front end damage, you can always think on this section, right here in this section, where it's so easy to push the car into a wall and have it bounce around. Forrest elbowing down the hill. We'll see if Hayden Fowler finally gets this done. The old man in the series getting a little more respect than I think he even expects. We saw Wortley back off and then go to the pits earlier. And now Fowler has backed off and given him a corner. I think knowing, Wortley back into the pits again in behind him. Everything's not fixed. A great exit there out of Murray's corner. And he'll wait one more apex, and I think this is going to be done. Seninger has now come up and has caught this battle, so he doesn't want to see exactly what he sees out of his front windscreen. As we go on board with Seninger. Fowler on the left, Seeley on the right. They're side by side. Seeley has... Fowler does go through. Seeley allows Seninger by. Just watch how quickly this gap opens up between the two Lamborghinis. Down the hill, he's going to have to wait for the elbow. Not going to be losing any time now that Fowler's been released. He's going to be right back on it. Kelly's accident, that has promoted Fowler now running in 6th, Seeley in 7th, Andreas Schwarz up to 8th place, running 7 seconds ahead of Steve Groniga, who's got himself into 9th. Wortley is back on track, so he's 2 laps away from collecting a position. Lincoln Russell has got his BMW going again. He's 4 laps off the pace. Definitely had issues here today. Battle up front seems to have really sort of solidified itself. I'm not sure Poseland has any pace saved up or tires. We know these BMWs have been pushing. We heard on board a lot of the tires sliding, but there's the gap, just inching its way. Fowler may be thinking what could have been had they not misfueled the car at the beginning of the race. Clearly has the pace to run up here with these guys. Last laps around, doesn't count. Fowler was still making that pass. But we'll see what they are this time. Travis clearly got the pace to run with these front runners. Sealy nowhere to be seen in behind here. We've officially lost 3 cars from this race. Enos Bothmer, Marcel Struth, and Leighton Cater. But we had some other, as I say that, Enos Bothmer. Oh, I thought he popped back on circuit there for a second. No, he's still stopped in his pit box. 2 cars on pit road getting service. Leaving 14 cars circulating, but we have had our issues. This is, of course, a warm-up race. Everybody trying to get settled and get their setups ready. Maybe trying some things as well. It's, for a no-points race, why wouldn't you? See what works and see what doesn't. And Jens Wolters having himself a great run. He's led both of the endurance races this season, but had issues of one or another that prevented him from transferring that to a finish. But here today, he has looked solid, has led from pole, and other than what we think is a little crinkle on that right front fender, but he's had a very light contact. He hasn't put a wheel wrong. He's got a 9-second lead over his teammate and turning in laps. He is the fast lap of the race, the only car in the 203s in qualifying, and he's done a 204.9 here in the race, the only car in the 204s. Interestingly, it's actually Poslan who has the second fastest lap time in this race, a 205.183, and that's 2/100ths, sorry, 2/10ths quicker than Seninger's best lap. So the pace is there, but just maybe overall grip and consistency of these BMWs here today, too much to handle. As we close out that thought there, Seninger did a 206.3 last time around, Fowler a 206.8. So he definitely does have that 206 pace in him. Wolters comes up on Keith Rainey, doing a great job here today with no practice, very limited, just got in the car this morning and put in a 90-minute run. Keith running 9 laps off the pace, but 16th, the final car in the Crocodile, and going to finish this 90 minutes. The challenge for 4th was lost on pit road, and it looks like Rotter is going to convert this one into a 4th place finish. Pretty good run. It'll be interesting to see him and Thomas next week in the Bathurst 12. Series race is on the 5th of March. We'll be there at Circuit of the Americas, where we will have 2 races, a 1-hour GT challenge and a 1-hour prototype challenge, where we'll see everybody in the same equipment running non-points races. We're really looking forward to that. We know there are a lot of GT drivers here who have driven the P217. And we'll see how they fare on a very difficult Circuit of the Americas. The 204 of Andreas Schwarz running in 8th place. What a staggering day for Andreas Schwarz. He's done, after the way that car was fighting him in practice, really didn't know what to expect. He has come in here with his head screwed on, done everything he needs to do to keep this car pointed straight, and he's running in not just top 10, 8th position. A fantastic run, and the same has to be said for the car he is chasing down. And he is chasing down Paul Sealy in the 72, qualified in 16th position, running in 7th place on circuit. We're just watching the lap times, Andreas actually a little slower that last time around by a tenth. They're both running right around the 2:09 mark as we saw a car pull off into pit road there. We'll wait for the name to go yellow on screen. It was Lincoln Russell pulling off. He has overtaken Rowan Kelly there. And was that the job? He's going to have to go back out though. Wayne Wortley is on circuit. And he will be able to take up a position there if Lincoln doesn't come out to defend. But it's great hearing a different engine note out there. Of course, the pro drivers are all out here with their cars that are going to be racing in the 24 hours. They don't have the luxury of playing with a car the same way that Andreas does. He is not participating in the Bathurst 12 as far as I know. And as a prototype driver, he had his choice of 8 different cars and decided to go with something that nobody else was. And doing an amazing job bringing that Ford home in what could be an 8th place position. He is 9 seconds ahead of Steve Groninga, you see there in the background. So you see Steve can reel that in. Again, they're all running very similar lap times around 2:09. Sealy at 2:10 the last time around, so he's having a little bit of an issue. But he's still pointed straight. With 10 minutes to go, Jens Wolters has absolutely the best news he could possibly have. As he comes out of Forest Elbow, there are no cars in front of him. The entire field is running within a third of a lap behind him now. We've come through all the lap traffic. So it's basically going to be a 10-minute qualifying run, just no traffic, no distractions. He's got a 10-second lead on his teammate, and he's going to convert what could be his first win of Season 4 in the Night Racing League. And a great, great preview of what these two drivers could do next week in the Bathurst 12. As we say, the gaps are pretty much staggered here. This gap has come down to 7.2 seconds. That's Kevin Hensel getting through the back marker of the 59 car. But he is pulling down that gap a little bit on Dennis Rodder. Not sure there's enough time for him to close that up. The one we're watching is 7th, 8th, and 9th. That's the interesting one, as Sealy seems to be really struggling now. Another 2:10 the last time around, 2:10.7 actually. Andrea's in the 2:08s. Steve Groninga, who was pulling him down, seen him on the same straightaway there as Shores just went by. Groninga is coming up. But Steve also, you got lapped that last lap. He's in the 2:10s. But these three seem to be closing up together, so 7th, 8th, and 9th place may still be up for grabs in the final 10 minutes of this one. Ford goes very wide, allows 4th place car through. The same for Wortley. No reason to get in his way. He's got plenty of laps to play with there in that gap. There's no battle for position there at all. And there is James Poslan in that Ferrari. A solid 3rd place. A little bit of a, excuse me, you go, I'll go, and cost out the 48 car, but he's been perfect since. No real damage and such a light touch on that right front corner. He's had himself a great run here. He's going to be a podium, it looks like, for the Englishman. Oh, and that car. Who was that? That was Keith Rainey, who just lost the back end there. Still fighting right to the end with that. Can't imagine there's a lot of rubber left on that car. seems to be a problem with his teammate as well. Last lap time, 2:10.8. That gap continues to come down. It's still 10 seconds though. Not with 7 minutes to go. We'll watch. Groningen 8 seconds behind Schwarz. So keep an eye on those gaps when we watch the third place car again. I think it's 3 to go when Jens Wolters gets to the line. He's trying to do up the math. He's coming down the hill 6 minutes. And that should mean he'll get 1 to go with probably about 1 minute left in the race. We'll see when he crosses the line here. Five and a half minutes left in the race as the leader crosses the line. Osling closing in that gap. A little bit noticeable the last time around. Although he and Senager both with 2:05.7s on lap number 40. Gap now 5.5 seconds from second to third. Again, one mistake away from being Keith Rainey has decided he's maximized his finish. He wants to get out of the way of what's coming in behind him. 6 car on pit road. Here he is. Saw him have a little bit of an issue at Curry's corner a couple of laps back. Actually done a drive-through. Whether or not that was an enforced drive-through or whether he saw a group of cars and decided, if I just go down on pit limiter, I can let them all through and I'll have some empty track to play with. Either way, he's back on circuit. Kevin Hensel now 7 seconds back. Dennis Rodgers brought a little bit of that in, but again, less than 4 minutes to go. The mighty Ford continues through the S's. He looks pretty solid. He looks to have come to grips with this car. Getting a bunch of laps in warm-up, if I recall. I may be making that up, but 9 straight minutes of seat time. Take what the car gives you, keep it pointed straight, and look what you'll get. On a 19-car field where you start at 18th, he's up 10 positions, running in 8th place. And when I checked the scoreboard, that is the most positions gained from qualifying. Seeley and Groningen, the cars that flank him on the timing screen, have both made up 7 positions from their qualifying. So some good running by those boys. And we are told when Jens Wolters comes around next time, it will be 1 to go. He continues to put in the laps, 2:05.126 the last time around for the 24 car. That is half a second faster than his teammate and a full second faster than the third place car on lap number 41. No issues today on a circuit that arguably is one of the toughest on the Season 4 calendar in either the Challenge or the Endurance Series. I think some might argue that the Nordschleife could challenge this for difficulty level. However, all of these drivers have much more experience, I would think, on the Nordschleife than they do on Mount Panorama. 24 car through Murray's Corner. 1 lap to go for Jens Wolters. In behind, Toby Seninger will get the same news. 7 seconds exactly. His gap on the 91 car. Wolters has had to get by one of the back market cars. Marcel Stroop back on the circuit. But it is clean sailing now. The next car up the road is Martin Sonnen, and he is just now in Forrest's elbow. So I don't think we'll see him on this time around. He'll be able to cruise home. Down the hill for the final time, and we're not seeing any of the pushing that we saw previously. His last lap time was a 2:05.4. This one's not going to be anywhere near that. As you can see how in the center, did Marcel just... He did. Marcel went off in behind him. I thought I heard that engine note just kind of disappear in the background. So down the hill alone. And going very slowly here. Here comes Toby Seninger. This was a 10-second lead. I think we're doing a photo op. That's what we're being told. There's no problems from Schaller Racing Pit Box. They're on the radio together. This is going to be a photo finish. So after 90 minutes in the first challenge race of the season, Schaller Racing 1-2 Jens Wolters from Toby Seninger. They win at Mount Panorama. Third place is the 91 of James Posland. A stunning run for him. In it all day, and our top prototype driver, I think we all could have seen that one coming. When you looked at the prototype drivers who joined up for this race. But a fantastic run in a beautiful car that we expect to see at the Bathurst 12 next week. Dennis Rotter will bring the Ferrari 488 Evo home in 4th place. Kevin Hensel in the 94. Again, a very lackadaisical lap in Ruby in 5th. You see Seeley in behind there. He finishes 7th. He's a lap down. Hayden Fowler has crossed the line in front. And the 2:04 of Andreas Schwarz finishes in 8th place. What a fantastic run. Steve Groningen, the 59, will be 9th. And your final runner in the top 10, Lincoln Russell, brings the BMW home. Trials and tribulations all day, but he stuck it out. And Lincoln Russell will round out your top 10 here at Mount Panorama. A fantastic day here, and everybody, we wish you the best of luck at Bathurst next week in the 12 hours. Our next race is the 26th of February at Silverstone for our 2-hour race number 3 in the Night Racing League Sports Car Championship Endurance Series. And then on the 5th of March, we'll be at Circuit of the Americas for GT Challenge and Prototype Challenge. We look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for watching.